The road to Kentucky Oaks 150 begins on Saturday at Churchill Downs. Joe, Kristufek, and Scott Shapiro joining you. The first prep race is the Pocahontas right under the TwinSpires. And Scott, a very competitive race here. People should know that 2 of the last 10 Kentucky Oaks winners did come out of this race, Serengeti Empress and Untappable.
Yes, one thing to keep in mind before we dive into the field, etc., is this race has been cut back from the 1/16 that it has been run at. In addition to that, we'll bring it up again in that preview, but the Iroquois as well, now at the 1-turn mile distance. So I think it's a little more favorable for early 2-year-olds. I think we saw how trainers, how connections feel about it, because I don't remember the Pocahontas field being this strong, Joe. There's usually a full field. It's usually deep, but I think there's some serious star power potential in this field. I thought it was the best Pocahontas that I can remember.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. 10 points to the winner on the road to the Kentucky Oaks, a grade 3 event, Scott. And, you can make a case for just about all of them. It does look, though, that there's going to be a contentious pace up front.
I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, you have horses along the inside like Peñar, maybe Empire Island for Norm Cassie, and then you've got Regal Rumor. But really, I think the speed's going to come from You Almost Had Me if she can break better than she did last time out. And it'll be interesting to see the tactics for Hot Beach. But I could see this going a number of ways, but I agree with you, Joe, in terms of the pace. Not sure who will be on the lead, but it's very likely to be contentious.
Well, Norm Cassie had a tremendous Saratoga meet, and Ricardo Santana Jr. did ride a lot for him. He's on Empire Island from the rail, Scott. You would think that Ricardo's going to get aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, Norm and Ricardo, the plan usually is to try to be forward, but this is a filly that Norm has loved all along. Set the debut on opening day at Saratoga, had to scratch with a minor issue, came back on August 6th, a work or two short, and this horse won impressively nonetheless, got out of the gates okay from the inside, which might be an issue, more of an issue this time, but ended up working out a good trip. But I thought finished very well, got a good number. And given the fact that this horse was a work or two short, I think we can expect her to take a significant step forward throughout her career and hopefully in this spot.
Speaking of being a work short, Brad Cox mentioned to me going into the Ellis Park debutante that maybe You Almost Had Me was a work short. He was impressed by the work prior, decided to run her, and she ran well. She missed the break, as you mentioned, Scott, a $12,000 daughter of Oxbow. That's what she cost as a yearling, and she was dominant in the first 2 races of her career. Private purchase. She's got an outside draw here and should be in a good, perfect pressing position throughout with an alert break from the starting gate. The question is, moving forward, is that pedigree going to catch up to her, or is she the real deal?
Yeah, that is the question. She is listed as the 2-1 morning line favorite. I do expect personally VV's Dream to likely go off as the favorite. We'll talk about her in a moment. And if she needed the last race, that's definitely something that you could kind of almost see watching the race. She didn't break well. She struggled to relax. It's a horse that wants to be towards the front end, Joe, at least based on what we've seen thus far. With a poor break, she's not going to have much of a shot against this field. But with a better break and with the race under her belt off the layoff, I think she's going to run a heck of a lot better. Whether it's good enough to win remains to be seen.
Let's talk about VV's Dream, because she was all the rage going into her debut, and she did not disappoint in it or coming out of it, winning by 6 lengths. She was the odds-on favorite, Scott, in the debutante at Ellis. She lost to Brightwork, who's no slouch. She went on to win the Adirondack and the Spinaway at Saratoga this summer for John Ortiz. Now, VV's Dream coming back in off of a little bit of a break. She's by Matoli, but Ken McPeak has said all along, I think she wants to go longer. I'm waiting for these races in the fall. But to me, in this race, as the likely favorite, she's a bet against.
Interesting. I have her picked for second at this point. Couple of concerns. One, the layoff is a little bit of one. And then the inability to get out of the gate, as well as a lot of the other fillies in here, may work in her favor if they really go at it on the front end, but if they don't, she might have a little bit too much work to do. But interesting to hear your take, since you have a little bit more of an opinion. I think she's got a big shot.
I just think there's 6 horses that can win this race.
And she's the
favorite.
I
don't think necessarily the pace is going to work in her favor. We'll talk about that next. I think there are a lot of horses with similar styles here, Scott. They're going to be stacked up across the track behind the 2 likely embattled leaders, Norm Cassie's horse and also Brad Cox's filly. And I just can't go with a favorite. She might not even hit the board, or she could win the race, but this is a betting game. Let's talk about the two horses on the outside. Corby for Todd Pletcher and Hot Beach for Brian Lynch. Corby, a winner on debut. All reports say that she's been training fantastic. She looks like a horse that wants to go longer moving forward. And then Hot Beach, second on debut, was bet down. Impressive winner of the Ellis Park debutante. But these two horses, Scott, have stalking styles and are stacked to the outside. It's going to be difficult, in my estimation, for both of those horses to work a trip.
Definitely agree. Hot Beach, to me, I think I've been on this horse in both of her career starts. She obviously is trained very well for Brian Lynch. And when I say obvious, you can see the money she's taken in both of her starts. But I think last time was the time for Hot Beach. She got a real good trip. She got the jump on her main rivals. And I have a little bit of concerns the way she finished, whether she wants more ground. Corbell, on the other hand, I agree with your assessment, but if she's the price that she's listed on the morning line, which I believe was 10-1, I can be a little bit more forgiving. I thought she was impressive, and I agree with you, Joe. She looks to want more ground.
Yeah, I mean, Norm's horse, Brad's horse, and Hot Beach, those are going to take money. This is going to inflate the prices on a lot of these others. All right, who do you like on top?
I like Empire Island. I think Empire Island and VV's Dream are the most talented fillies, perhaps Corb. Empire Island's going to be the better price. I think she takes a step forward here. Hopefully the rail draw doesn't hinder her chances.
Yeah, Scott, I think there's some value to be found underneath in the Pocahontas, but I'm with you. I'm going to go to Empire Island on top. That was a lesson learning debut at Saratoga. She was very game, seemingly training fantastic coming out of that race, and I think she'll be able to work a trip from the inside post. That being said, from top to bottom, the Pocahontas is stacked.
No doubt about it, Joe. By far, to me, the race I'm looking forward to most, not to take anything away from the start of the road to the Kentucky Derby and all the other great stakes action. I just think this is a grade 1 listed as a grade 3.
Yeah, no doubt about it. September meet at Churchill Downs. Lots of great 2-year-old action. The Pocahontas, the chief amongst those big races. And don't forget about the great promotions at TwinSpires. The $10 money back on select races every day, 14 days during the September meet. Also, the Twilight Thursday leaderboard competition. Earn your share of the $2,000 bonus pool. For Scott Shapiro, I'm Joe Kristufek. Enjoy the Pocahontas.